So we were in Kansas because even though that was way out of the way, we wanted to hit the center of the country, preferably around the 4th of July for maximum earnestness / unacknowledged irony factor. The timing worked out, so it was July 3rd, and we were approaching Gypsum, our small town America of choice. One bar, one diner, 17 churches, or whatever. And we're approaching, and we're going west to east, so wind at our backs. The wind comes out of the south in the summer, but more like the southwest, so in a way, going west to east was a pussy move on our parts, but we kind of wanted to do the opposite of the historical, like American is east to west. So we were going the opposite way. Also, we lived out west. It was more honest to start there. Western Kansas is like ass flat, the cliche. So you're basically just riding the wind. And if you pedal even a little bit in a low gear, you hit like 15 miles per hour. 15 miles per hour is slow speed in a car, but on a bike it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So it's morning time and the sun's pretty low. Between the low sun and the flat ride and the good wind, it's the perfect time to take shadow pictures. That means you take pictures of your own shadow while you're still riding. Totally a staple of the cross-country bike trip. Gotta have the shadow picture. And with our huge packs and panniers, we were gonna have especially dope shadow pictures. Micah thinks he's a really good photographer. He thinks he has talent. So he's doing a lot of bullshit with shutter speed and framing and what have you. And we're both taking our shadow pictures. And we hear a truck coming up behind us. Or at least I hear it. I assume Micah does, because we both hug the shoulder a little bit, still taking our shadow shots. And the truck gets louder and closer and passes us. And I see it's a Tyson truck full of fucking crates of screaming chickens packed together, and there are feathers flying out like some kind of, I don't know what kind of metaphor. And I scream up to Micah, who did I mention was in front of me, "Look at that fucking slave poultry!" And he looks back at me. He has his left hand on his handlebar and his right hand on his bullshit professional camera. And he looks back at me and he's laughing. And he starts to say something. But the truck bed separates from the cab and flies backward and takes him off the road. Before the ambulance came, this PR lady from Tyson came. I didn't realize I was still holding my camera. She was like, "Excuse me, sir, I'm going to have to confiscate your camera." She has to yell it for me to hear over all these maimed and freaked out birds. I was like, my best friend is under 3,000 chickens. And she was like, "I understand you're upset, but this will be easier for both of us if you just give me your camera now." I was like, I couldn't get to him. He's buried under there. Where is the fucking ambulance? And she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna ask you one more time. I threw my camera on the ground. So what I don't have now are these pictures from Wyoming. We were doing these stupid, corny timer shots at the top of the Continental Divide, right by the sign that says the altitude and all that shit. There was still snow up there in June. And he caught a fish in Yellowstone with his bare hands. You know, he stood really still and reached in. And I had a picture of him holding up this fish longer than his head and neck. And, and we dipped our back tire in the Pacific. That's another corny thing you do, because then you're supposed to dip your front tire in the Atlantic when you get there. Which I have not done yet, incidentally. Don't know why. Oh, and I had a video of him dipping his back tire and pretending to fall off this rock into the sea because he was a clown. You know, he was a gifted physical comedian. He could have done that for real. And then there are all the other photos. I don't remember taking. And maybe losing those is worse than losing the ones I do. It took them 45 minutes to get him out. And the funny thing was, he hadn't sustained any trauma to his head or anything. But he'd been face down in the mud with hundreds of pounds of weight on him. And he'd suffocated. So the part that everyone's pissed at me about is that after I got back on my bike, filled out all the paperwork at the police station and called his mom and my mom, I got back on my bike and kept riding.